Ferringo of Doc Sports Services, here once again with your college hoops handicapping extravaganza, NCAA Tournament edition. Today we're breaking down the South region with my main man, Raphael Esparza, one of the most talented, one of the most accomplished, one of the most successful college basketball odds makers and handicappers in the country. Before we get to Raphael, I just want to mention that you can hit the banner above, click on the links below, take advantage of our free $60 account offer over at DocSports.com. What it is we are giving you $60 free, you are welcome, to use towards any service in any sport for any handicapper that you want. So if you want some daily packages, boom, got them for free. I know that there's going to be plenty of big plays in the NCAA tournament. I already know of a couple 7-unit plays that some of our handicappers are going to have. Alan Eastman has an 8-unit NCAA tournament game of the year going on Thursday. Take advantage. Get it for free. All right, Raphael, the madness has started. Officially, the NCAA tournament is underway with first 4 games last night. Real quickly, want to get your thoughts on what you saw last evening.
Fell out. They left the game to puke in a garbage can and then leave to go to the bathroom in the first game. I felt like that the whole game watching it. There was some bad shooting, some missed layups. It was a train wreck of a first half, a boring game. But I think Indiana just had too much talent in the second half. Got the win, got the cover. If you had IU. I thought the first game was much better. The Texas Southern game, especially in the last 3 minutes, made some buckets to kind of pull away. But I thought that game was more entertaining. But Indiana, St. Mary's now. St. Mary's now minus a 3-point favorite against IU, which I thought was going to be close to 2, maybe like 2, 1.5. Since again, Indiana's already played a game. St. Mary's is all cold, haven't played in about almost a week. Should be very interesting. But that's what I got out of it.
Yeah, Indiana looked like a bunch of idiots. Like they should have won that game by 25 points. That game should not have been close. Their shooting in the first half was horrific. How do you turn a team over 13 times in the first half and only have like a 6-point lead at the half? That's tough to do. To have 13 extra possessions and only have a 6-point lead, especially when you were the better team. Even late in the second half, when they stretched that lead out to 9 or 10 and were finally going to put the game away, they started fouling 3-point shooters, everything. So Indiana has been an enigma like that all season long. They have talent. They have a good cohesive group. They can defend. They can rebound. They can make shots. They can do a lot of different things. But they play like a bunch of idiots. So it's going to be interesting to see. St. Mary's is just the opposite. That team is full of guile, savvy, experience. It's going to be a really good game. I know you and I both are very locked into the fact that 9 of the last 11 years, at least one of the first 4 teams has made it to the Sweet 16. 10 of the last 11 years, at least one of the teams that won in the first 4 has won their first round game. So, all right, Raphael, we are dipping into the South today, all right? First things first, were there any lines that surprised you in this region when you first saw the bracket?
No, I think this one was kind of very interesting, straightforward, down and back. I mean, we were all shocked on maybe with the 8-9 matchup between Seton Hall and TCU. I thought they were going to give maybe the Hall a little bit more respect with TCU. I know TCU comes in a little bit hot, but wow, I'll pick them. I thought the Hall was going to be at least maybe a 3-point favorite on that one. So that one didn't really throw anything. Texas Tech, Montana State. I said that yesterday. I think the number is way too high. I thought the Red Raiders should have been like maybe a 12-point favorite. You're trying to tell me 15, 14.5 more in some shops. I think that's the one that's probably a little bit more troubling in that one. But I think that the South is just plain old simple. I think if you like the teams, Arizona, which if they can stay healthy, I think they're the team to beat in that. For that guard hurt his ankle, that they were my team. Tennessee. How disrespected are they going to feel with a 3 seed, knowing that they were supposed to be a 2 seed? So it's going to be very interesting. But there's a lot of Big East teams in here that, you know me, I don't think they're really good right now, except Nova. You never bet against Nova.
Listen, I was going to point it out. You almost said something nice about the Big East by saying that you thought Seton Hall should be kind of a token favorite. I was kind of taken aback, but you just had to get that last little dig in there. I just had to get that last little dig. Well, the only line that really surprised I guess I wasn't even that surprised, but I thought it came in a little short, was Auburn, Jacksonville State. I know Auburn hasn't looked good lately, They were one and done in that SEC tournament. But this is still a team that scores points quickly, that can turn teams' lights out. They were 22-1 and number one in the country at some point, whereas Jacksonville State, they didn't even win their conference tournament. They're only here because the team that won their conference tournament was not eligible to go to the NCAA tournament. So Jacksonville State only hanging around 15 and a half. I thought that line should have been closer to 19 and a half, 20. We will see how motivated Auburn is at the start of that game. What do you think is the best first round matchup, Raphael? Not even, it could be from a betting standpoint. It could just be from a college basketball kind of fan standpoint. But which matchup jumped out at you as the best of the first round in the South region?
I like the Illinois Chattanooga. I think that's not for a betting wise. I think for a matchup, I think the styles of play can be something similar on that one. I think the number is a little bit out of control with 8. Probably will climb up to 8.5. I think a lot of bettors like Illinois, even though Chattanooga has been some of the media love that we see in brackets. The experts think the mocks can do something, but that one has a very interesting. And I'll throw another one: Ohio State and Sister Jean. That one's going to be a very interesting matchup as well. I'm actually shocked that Loyola Chicago is now -1 in some shops. So that one's kind of interesting. And that one, I had to do a double take on that one and do a little bit more research this morning, because I was a little bit shocked that I thought it was going to go the other way yesterday when I looked at it. And then it went to, I guess, Sister Jean's playing. I don't know.
Well, Loyola has had success in recent NCAA tournaments. Good veteran team. Ohio State really hasn't had much success in recent NCAA tournaments. And this team has been really shaky and shady all season long. We'll get to that game in a minute. I think the best first-round matchup is the game you talked about, Seton Hall Tcu. I think these are two really good teams. I think either one of these teams is capable of throwing a scare into Arizona in the next round. Okay, Seton Hall has size. That's one of the things about Arizona, right? You look at them, they're young. They have 4 freshmen, but they're second-year freshmen, and they just look like full-grown men. That's the thing about Arizona, right? Is they're a physically imposing team. Well, Seton Hall's big, man. They are big. They're physical. They are not scared at all. TCU, if they beat Seton Hall, they've played Kansas 3 times in the last 2 weeks. Okay, they've seen Kansas 3 times. They won the first time. They covered and almost beat them in Lawrence, and then they did lose in the Big 12 tournament. But there's nothing that Arizona has and can do that Kansas doesn't have and can't do. So TCU just saw a top-end team and played with them door to door. I think that they could play with Arizona in that game. So the winner of that game, I'm definitely going to have my eye on against the Wildcats. Something working against Arizona, by the way. They were unranked at the beginning of the season and earned a top 2 seed in one of the regions. No team has ever made the Final Four that started the season unranked and claimed a number 1 or a number 2 seed. And 70% of the teams that fit that criteria didn't make it out of the opening weekend of the NCAA tournament. That includes Alabama last year. So, all right, Raphael, let's dip into some of these games. We're going to start with the first game of the actual tournament on St. Patty's Day on Thursday. Colorado State versus Michigan. Michigan, one of the last teams in the field. I didn't really feel like they deserved to make it into the field with a 17-14 record, and they've generally been unimpressive. They've had off-court issues with the Juwan Howard suspension lately. These guys have been in a tailspin. They started the season in the top 10. Now they're barely making it into the NCAA tournament. They are favored in this game. I got to ask you, are they favored more because of name recognition, or do you think that this is a team that might take advantage of the second chance that they've been given?
The name of the M, Go Blue Nation. Shout out to Alan Eastman. And Colorado State, who hasn't covered 5 out of their last 6. And they come in slumping. They got beat up by San Diego State. I know the score is a little bit lopsided. But they haven't really had that big key win. I mean, they had Utah. They beat Utah State on the road and then in a tournament. But that Aggie win on the road doesn't impress me at all. I mean, they look bad when UNLV spanked them on the road. So I think that's why. I think it has both of it. Name of the M in front of their jerseys with John Howard, and then a Colorado State who is not coming in their top form like we've seen them in the past couple of months. That they were playing some really good ball. I kind of like the Rams, but again, I just can't trust them because I said I could just still remember and how UNLV just waxed them and then how they played in the second half against San Diego State.
Yeah, give me Michigan in this one all day, every day. I don't love the team. I don't think that they should have made it to the NCAA tournament. But a few things concern me about Colorado State, as you mentioned. And look, I'm happy that Colorado State earned a number 6 seed. I like that some of the mid-majors received some love. Murray State being a 7, St. Mary's being a 5, Colorado State. It's nice to see the Mountain West get some recognition, but now you got to earn it. The problem is, as you mentioned, Colorado State has not been playing their best basketball. Number 2, Colorado State is one of those teams that has that fantastic home court advantage, right? Get up in that thin mountain air up in Colorado. They're not the same team when they play on the road. Number 3, the way that Utah State was able to beat them up inside, Michigan's going to be able to do the same thing, which leads to number 4. Michigan, they have Hunter Dickinson, the 7'1" monster center. Diakate is 6'11", starts at power forward. Colorado State only has 2 players on their roster taller than 6'6". They don't have anybody taller than 6'8". They're undersized. I think Michigan is going to absolutely pound them in the paint and look to make a statement. Now, second game I want to talk about is one that you touched on, Ohio State Loyola. As you mentioned, little surprised to see the line, the money, the public sentiment go towards Loyola here. Ohio State's been a disappointment, though. There's no 2 ways about it. If you take E.J. Liddell off of that team, that's like a 12-win team. What do you think here? Are you going mid-major or are you going major conference team?
This one is what I'll probably go if I had to choose. I don't know if it's on my radar, but I'll have to look at the Buckeyes on this one, just because the teams that they've had to play compared to teams that Sister Jean had to play. I mean, so I would, yeah. The Loyola Chicago is a well-known name now in the tournament, but this is probably one of their weakest teams coming into the tournament that I think. I mean, I know they're experienced, but I think the scoring is down. They don't have their free throw shooting has not been really good towards the second and a half. I am not impressed on how you and I are beat them in overtime when they blew a double-digit lead in the first half and then let them come back. I just think Ohio State, who had to deal with Michigan, had to play Purdue, had to play Illinois on the road. I think there's just more experience in that one. I think that experience would probably come back on this one. So I like the Buckeyes, and I'm not a big fan of Sister Jean this year.
This game will not be on my card. I do like Loyola, though. The NCAA tournament, especially early on in the tournament, is about guard play. And Loyola has one of the best, deepest, and most versatile backcourts in the country. They got 5 guards that could start for a lot of the teams in this NCAA tournament. You got a guy like Keith Clemens, who's been doing it and doing it well for a lot of years. He's like their 4th or 5th guard on their team. The problem with Ohio State, the thing that I felt like has killed Ohio State's season is Kyle Young. He has not been healthy at all this year. That guy is just an animal in the post for them. Really set the tone for them last year, and he just has not been healthy. I don't think he's going to play in this game. Zed Key, another big physical body that they have in the post, probably isn't going to play. I just don't like anything I've seen from Ohio State, so there's no way that I would trust them to show up in this situation. And Raphael, you rag on the Big East, right? Rag on the Big East all the time. What about the Big Ten? Big Ten has been absolutely pathetic in recent NCAA tournaments. Should we be worried about the Big Ten against this again this year? Last year, they had 9 teams in the NCAA tournament, a ton of top and preferable seeds. 8 of those 9 teams did not survive the opening weekend, had some really embarrassing first-round losses. Should we just be loading up against the Big Ten here?
I can see that. Indiana's got a win already, so they got a W in a tournament. If you want to count the play.
But it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It wasn't pretty. And again, they should have won that game by 20 points.
But they covered. They covered.
I had them, so yeah.
I could see that, but yeah, they had a horrible last year, but that was last year, and I think, like I said, I'm not sure. Loyola has terrific guard play. Then why is their last 3 games they barely hit 65 points? If Ohio State wants to beat them, they need to hang 70 plus on them, because I don't think Sister Jean can put that many points up on that one. So I think Ohio State, when we already talked about the Michigan game, I think Michigan can get a W on Thursday's game. So I think this is going to be redemption year for the Big Ten. I think a couple of them will come out and maybe make the Sweet 16. I'm not saying all 9 of them are going to make it, but I think a couple of them will be around longer than last year.
All right, one of the teams that had a very disappointing run last season, number 1 seed that did not make it out of the opening weekend, is Illinois. You already touched on this game that you're kind of looking at Chattanooga, like the Mocs a little bit. I think there's some line value there. What is it about Chattanooga that you like in this matchup? Just what are you looking at when you look at these two teams?
Their defense. Granted, I mean, they haven't played the same type of teams again that Illinois had a battle all that, but their team defense, I mean, holding firm to under 65, including overtime, is pretty impressive. So if you're Illinois, here's another one. You need to score like in the high 70s or 80s if you want to show Big Ten basketball and win this one. Because if it's an ugly type game that we saw Wyoming and Indiana yesterday, then the Mocs can easily steal this game. I'm going to say Big Ten, you need to average anywhere between 65 or higher. I would say probably more higher if you want to keep on advancing, because some of these teams that rely on defense can shut you down, and you'll be watching the tournament on my couch instead of advancing.
You know, Chattanooga did beat VCU, a very good VCU team, early in the season. They lost by 11 at Murray State. How much do you look at, especially with some of these mid-major teams, how often do you go back and look at who they played in the non-conference part of the year, and how much do you involve those results, good and bad, into your handicapping this time of the year?
It's tough now. Before, it was a big key. Now, with all these transfers and transfer portals and all that, now at the beginning of the season, some of these teams haven't gelled yet because there's so many new faces on the team. So you really can't look into that like you did in years past. One thing I did look at the Mocs, their last 2 losses have become from 5 points or less. So it's not like they've been blown out in their last recent losses. So that's was another question mark. I think that's why some of the media like the Mocs over Illinois. But like I said, I shouldn't say college basketball, all college sports year or years before is totally different because of transfer portal. Because now some of these teams are just so gelling in the beginning of the season when you're playing non-conference ball.
You know, I wish this game was on Thursday. I feel like this is a bellwether game for the Big Ten, and one of the things you talked about with mention. You know, Illinois, they were playing great last year. They really stole that number 1 seed. I think they went 15-1 down the stretch, won the Big Ten championship. You know, won their first game by like 30 over Drexel before they ran into Loyola and Cameron Krutwig. And then they started this season in the top 10, and they just haven't been able to put it together. Things just haven't clicked. The chemistry in the backcourt just hasn't been there for Illinois. I feel like if the Big Ten is going to bust through, this is one of the teams that has to come to play. This is one of the teams that really has to make a statement. When you have a physical talent like Kofi Cockburn, all right, when you have experienced and talented guards like Plummer, like Trent Frazier, 5th-year guy, hit a lot of big shots, Andre Curbelo, when you have this type of roster, you need to do something with it this time of the year. I think that this could be a statement game for Illinois. I really do. I know a lot of people are leaning Chattanooga. I'm looking hard at Illinois on Friday in this game.
I really want to see Houston, Illinois in the next round. That's why I kind of rooting for Illinois, because I think that's going to be a fantastic, fantastic game.
I said it. I said that could be one of the best games of the entire tournament. So rarely do we ever get those 4 or 5 matchups. You know, another one is that UConn-Arkansas game that we talked about, right? That would be a great game, UConn-Arkansas. You know, Houston-Illinois would be a fantastic game. But it never happens. One of the idiot 4 or 5 seeds always gets upset. They always rob us of what could be one of the best games in the tournament. Okay, speaking of Houston, they're up as an 8.5-point favorite. They play in the late game on Friday, one of the last games of the opening round against UAB, the dreaded 5-12 matchup. What are your thoughts on Houston here, and do you think UAB stands a chance?
If UAB puts up 80, then yes, Houston needs to play team defense. They need to control the boards, because if it's a high-scoring game, which the Blazers do all season, I think they're 21-10 The last 31 games, 21 of them gone over the total. So if you're Houston, you need to play like how you did against Cincinnati, holding them to 69 and stuff like that. Because if you play like you did with Tulane, I'm sorry, I would not be shocked if the Blazers put up some huge numbers and they come out with victory. But I think Houston, the coach, they squeeze out a victory. Probably not going to be one of my plays, but this one's going to be a fantastic game. I wish I could say I was taking a total, but the public has seen that 21-10 record, and I shot that total up already.
Yeah, Houston is a team that I've been wrong on all season long, right? Like they lose 6 of their top 9 guys from a team that went to the Final Four last year. You got to expect them to take a step back, right? Like that just makes sense with the amount of talent they lost, right? Nope, Kelvin Sampson, man. The guy he's just getting it done. He hit the transfer portal hard. Guys like Josh Carlton, who really was a huge disappointment at UConn. Kyler Edwards, who was pretty good at Texas Tech. They're just working it. The thing about Houston is they don't just beat teams, they destroy them. Like their 3 wins in the AAC tournament last week were by an average of 17 points per game. Just one of their last 14 wins and just 4 of their 29 wins this year has been by 11 or fewer points. They annihilate teams. So with that in mind, do you think that this number is a little short here, considering that, again, Houston doesn't win close games, man. They destroy teams.
It is, but again, I'm scared of that UAB offense. Because if they start off hot and put up a big number, and then Houston has to totally rearrange on their game plan and to try to go toe-to-toe with UAB's offense. I mean, the total opened up, I think it was 137. I think there's some 135 and a half. That tells me right there, just in a total move, that the books have a lot of action on Houston. Because why would the under come in if you're not playing Houston? So right there, it just tells me that. So I think the number is probably going to stay 8.5. I don't see anything else, line movement and stuff like that. But again, if it's a high, here's one of these games. I'm not the biggest halftime bettor, but I'm watching the first half to see who's controlling the tempo of the game. If UAB has 30, let's say 37, 38, close to 40 by halftime, then you figure UAB is still in the game because they're going to probably put close to an 80 mark on them. This is something you might want to look at a halftime bet to see who has control of the tempo.
I've been a big UAB guy all season long. I said from the start of the year that I thought that they, not North Texas, was the best team in Conference USA. And look, they played South Carolina earlier in the year. They only lost by 3. They played San Francisco, an NCAA tournament team. They only lost by 2 on a neutral court. They played West Virginia, big physical team, only lost by 6. They beat North Texas. They have played and they've beaten good teams. Andy Kennedy, former SEC coach, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. I think that this team is going to be prepared. But again, I feel like I want no part of Houston because I've been so wrong on them, all season long. All right, last game we're going to talk about before we get to the Midwest region in another video. Make sure to go to Doc Sports YouTube channel to get all of these regional breakdowns. We're talking Seton Hall and TCU. We both said we like this game. Be it surprised by the number, that we think it's a great matchup. What do you think is going to happen?
Oof. I said this yesterday. I forget what game it was, but this one I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the game because it's going to be fantastic because I'm looking for both teams and who they can play in their next game if they come out. So it could be a possible play for me. I really don't think there's going to be that much line movement in this game either. I think it's a perfect number. We haven't really seen any wise guy action to maybe come move it or stuff like that. This is just a perfect game. TCU's played, you just said it, they played Kansas, not tough, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that's a hard thing to do because everyone thinks Kansas could cut down the nets this year. So I'm going to be high on the Horned Frogs if they can get past on this one. Fantastic. And I gave some Big East love with Seton Hall. I thought the numbers should have been a little bit different, give some more love to the Hall. But yeah, this is one of those games. I already put a big X on it. No play, not even free video, no nothing. Can't wait to sit back, watch it, and see what comes out because this one should be one of the game of the days.
It's funny that you say that because, I have a lean in this game on Seton Hall. Still debating whether or not I want to use it. I do think they're a better team, but I like TCU. I was one of the people that was on TCU early. Jamie Dixon, great underdog coach. Mike Miles, if you haven't seen him, he's going to be a future NBA point guard. Very, very good player. I think the matchup between Gadari Richmond for Seton Hall and Mike Miles is one of the best one-on-one matchups of the first round. They have two completely different styles, but both very versatile, do-it-all guys for their team. These 8-9 games, they're always really close in terms of the line, the betting action, whatever. But if you go back and look, these games are usually not that competitive, okay? 3 out of the 4 8-9 games are usually pretty one-sided historically over the last 10 years. So whoever wins this game, I feel like I'm with you. I feel like this is a good matchup and should be a close game, but something tells me whoever wins is going to run away with this one. I don't know. And there's something I like about Seton Hall. And part of it is how tough they've been on the road this year. They went into Michigan earlier in the season, beat Michigan. They went into Creighton, real tough place for opponents to win, especially in the Big East, and won. They went into Xavier, beat them by 16, played tight within 6 points of both Villanova and Connecticut late in the season. Lost by 1 at Marquette, a place that was tough to play this year. You know, they have been good away from home this season, and that's one of the things that you have to be in the NCAA tournament. So I'm got a little slight lead on Seton Hall in this one. All right, Raphael, not going to ask you to give a free play because there's not many games going on Thursday or Friday. However, give me one game that you think a team should be on upset alert, and who do you think is going to win this region?
I don't want to say upset alert on this one, but I think Colorado State, Michigan. I've been high on Colorado State all season long, but they come in a little bit struggling. And we said it, as an 11 seed, Michigan really an upset if they beat a 6 team. In some guys, in some people's eyes, yes, no. Michigan would not shock me if they win this game, maybe win beat Tennessee or Longwood, whoever wins that game, and all of a sudden they're in the Sweet 16 and everyone forgot about what Juwan Howard did. So it would not shock me. I think that game has, again, it's not really an upset, but it would shock a lot. It would kill a lot of brackets if Michigan's standing around still in Sweet 16. I can guarantee you that.
In my write-up, in my South region preview that's posted at docsports.com, which will be posted later today, I have that exact scenario laying out. And I knew you were going to take my game, like you did yesterday, take my upset game. So I'm going to give you another one, Longwood. Okay, and I'm not just trying to be the guy that picks the obscure team, and, you know, if they get blown out, everybody forgets about it. And if they win, I say, oh, I had Longwood. I like Longwood with the points in this game. I absolutely think that they are going to throw a little scare into Tennessee. Rick Barnes, man, this is vintage Rick Barnes stuff. I texted it to a bunch of friends while they were beating Kentucky in the semifinals last weekend. I said, I can't wait for Tennessee to win the SEC tournament and then lose in the first round next week. Because that's what Rick Barnes, that's just vintage Rick Barnes stuff. This is a guy who couldn't make it out of the opening weekend with Kevin Durant, DJ Augustin, and like 5 of the top 7 players on a team that went to the Elite 8 the year before when he was at Texas. I think 8 of his last 10 NCAA tournament appearances, he hasn't survived the opening weekend. I think Tennessee could have a letdown here after making that nice run in the SEC tournament. You know, they just played on Sunday. They just cut down the nets on Sunday. Now on Thursday, you're asking them to gear up, to bow their backs and get excited to go up against Longwood in a 2:40 Eastern tip. Everything, you know, Longwood, they have a lot of different guys that shoot three-pointers. A majority of their offense is generated behind the three-point line. It's just one of these situations that we've seen. They start hitting some shots early. Tennessee comes out flat. I could see some upset potential in that one. All right, and in terms of the winner of the bracket, Raphael, what do you think?
If Arizona could get that guard back sometime during the Sweet 16 and all that, they'll be in the Final Four. If not, Houston comes out of that. I'm picking a 5 seed to win the South. I agree. Tennessee loses early. Not sold on Illinois. Not sold on if Arizona cannot stay healthy and all that. But give me the 5 seed, Houston Cougars.
All right. There's one team that we have not even mentioned in this entire preview, and I kind of can't believe it. So that's why I'm going to pick them to win it. It's Villanova. I'll take the 2 seed. Now, Nova's a little bit dicey, and you don't think of them that way, they've made 15 of the last 16 tournaments. More than half the time, 8 of those 15 times, they haven't made it out of the opening weekend, which is not what you think of. You think of success when you think of Villanova in the tournament because they won those 2 championships. However, I like either Illinois or I like Villanova. I think those are the 2 best teams in the region. I love Arizona. I love what they've done all season long, but I gave you that stat about being unranked. I'm sticking with the numbers and with history in that one. So, all right, that's it for the South Region preview. Make sure to check out our Midwest Regional preview. He is Raphael Esparza. I'm Robert Ferringo. You can find us at docsports.com. Carpe diem. Good luck.